It's going. Oh. Right. Hello everyone, I'm Spike. Welcome to my Twitch channel. Those who usually come here, obviously I do gaming streams also under the banner of Crunk7up, my gamer tag. But as is the mornings, we are going to be focusing on the self-taught Japanese stuff in Rosetta Stone 3. We're currently doing Japanese level 1. And if you've seen the streams at the start of this week and through to the middle of this week, you'll already see that we started at the core lesson, and then we've ended up doing the pronunciation module, the vocabulary module, we've done the grammar module, and the reading module. I was supposed to review this yesterday, but I thought better of it. I thought it'd be better to take a break and have a day gap, and then do all of the review, as we're going to do today, just so it consolidates the forgetting and then re-remembering as per how memory functions psychologically. And a lot of the tips that a lot of pro-language linguists who learn language or end up getting doctorates in language and such, most of the tips that they provide is that you give enough time and space to forget things that you are learning, so you can remember them when you go back to the exercises, which is what I'm going to try and do here. It's why I have a slightly casual approach to learning this language, because I am an older guy, I'm in my mid to late 30s. So obviously this is going to be a bit harder for me to digest and to take in, because my brain isn't as malleable as it once was when I was younger, whether through teenage years, and my 20s. Obviously kids soak up information like there's no tomorrow and have very malleable brains, so it's very easy for them to learn this kind of thing when they're young. It's why we learn second languages in school and stuff, and it's a lot easier to do then than it is as you get older. So today the plan is to go back through all of these to see if most of what we've learned at the start of the week and through to the middle of the week, through to Wednesday, has stuck, and see if we can remember most of what has been taught. And if not, obviously, we will end up redoing all of the exercises, all of the tasks, and making sure that we don't move on until we've 100%ed everything. So this will be a longer stream and a longer video today, that will end up going up both here on Twitch and also on my YouTube, if you're also watching YouTube. As always, like, follow, comment, share, and subscribe to both this Twitch channel for getting the live notifications when I do these things live, and also my YouTube. If you can, hit that bell. Both of them cost nothing. It's all free. I'm not affiliated. I'm not making any money from this. I'm doing this purely because I want to, and I enjoy it, and I'm enjoying the content I'm putting out, and because I think it's fun, and I'm sharing what I find fun, and I hope that it's engrossing and interesting content for anyone to come and watch, whether it's this or the gaming stuff. With this, obviously, I have a set goal. My set goal, as with anything, you should set goals so that you know you can hit targets along the way to achieve said goal, so you can be more successful. Particularly for myself, I'm neurodivergent, so I need to sometimes have a bit of an order and a structure to go about things to make sure that I achieve stuff. It's always helpful to have, particularly if you are a neurodivergent. So just a little bit of advice and a tip there. And my goal is to be able to speak enough Japanese fluently enough to be able to have conversations for when I go to Japan, or aim to get to Japan for my 40th birthday with my daughter for a holiday. I've always enjoyed Japan, Japanese culture, people, social aspects, etc., from as young as I can remember, all the way through growing up to then teenage years, digesting anime and manga, digesting their cartoons, also the games that we end up enjoying that come out of Japan and their markets and stuff. I quite enjoy drinking sake. I generally tend to have a preference towards rice and noodles when it comes to cooked foods. You know, a lot of the very tropic kind of stereotypes, I suppose, that you would say towards a lot of their culture. Um, at least what's available easily here in the UK. So again, my goal is to be able to get through the Rosetta Stone language packs that I have purchased, that I've had purchased since, you know, the early to mid 2000s this program comes from, and the packs. And all I'm doing is recording and showing my progress and sharing it with you. If this helps anyone on watching this to help learn the language themselves, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And obviously, with myself recording this live and then posting this as a video to YouTube, it's then a resource for you to keep following and going back to. Because obviously, for me at the moment, it doesn't stay on Twitch. It gets deleted after a week. So it's a limited time function there. But here over on YouTube, it's where all my videos permanently live. So without further ado, let's begin. We are going to need to yeah, continue my current progress, but I assume that it might put us at the writing stage. So let's set up the microphone as always. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Brilliant. We continue. Here we go. Okay, so it's keeping the score. So this is how we'll turn around and review. We'll review what score we got, which obviously we can see is 1 out of 0. And then it's moved us on through all of these slides where you can see we don't have any mistakes, because as I was doing these, I was repeating the ones that I got stuck on. That if I made a mistake, obviously I'm not moving on until I've 100%ed it. I find that that's a better way for me to learn. And it just makes things a little bit easier for the next slide where, you know, you're not making as many mistakes. So you could see it as like 100% achievement status. But for me, I think it's helping with locking in the actual words, locking in the pronunciation, locking in the grammar of the language. And it's a little bit of self-imposed forcing myself to digest the information solidly so that I remember. Because again, advanced age and all that, our brains aren't as malleable. So we end up trying to learn things can be a little bit more difficult. So let's begin. Let's see how things go. Let's redo.
こんにちは。
こんにちは。
Konnichiwa.
こんにちは。
Nice, good start. I've also mentioned before that I have the level of strictness on pronunciation is set halfway between normal and strict. So it's at about a 65-70% level. Just so that, again, it's forcing me to be correct from the beginning. Obviously, for anyone who's using this at home, you're not going to have this being picked up by microphone. But you can hear the output and then the pronunciation, so you can practice at home anyway. Let's try this one.
女の子、男の子、男の子。
Otokonoko goes here.
女の子、
Onanoko. So young boy is otokonoko, and onanoko is young girl. So we got those correct. Very basics, all the basics. See, we got the juices, we got ochas and the michus. So we got juice, which is obviously juice. Ocha, which is hot drink. I think that's tea. And mizu is water.
ジュース、ジュース、ジュース。
So this one we have to select what picture it is. You go for juice.
ジュース、お茶、お茶。
And ocha is the hot drink. So a good way to remember it is ocha, because it's hot. You turn yourself on the hot drink. Lovely,
お
jubbly.
茶、水、
And mizu is going to be water.
水、
I like how this last one relied on us remembering the picture. And the same here for shinbun, which is newspaper. Hon is book. And look at that, we got mizu again at the end. Fantastic.
新聞、新聞、新聞、
Shinbun. There we go.
新聞、本、本、
Hon
本、水、
and mizu. I
水、
also like to practice as we go along before giving the answer. I think that's a good way of practicing it. I think that's also why they give you it twice for you to then select. And it's kind of in a countdown as well, which is handy. Let's go for this one.
ジュース
Juice,
ジュースお茶
ocha,
お茶水
mizu,
水新聞
shinbun,
新聞本
hon.
本
Fantastic. What a nice start.
ジュース、
Juice,
本、
hon,
水、
mizu,
お茶、
ocha,
新聞、
shinbun. Nice and easy so far. So yes, this stuff is definitely starting to stick in the basics, which is a good way to, a good foundation to have in learning the language. Yeah, okay, it can be seen as primary school level, but for learning a fantastically new language that I've had very limited experience in and only know very few phrase words that are usually poorly translated or poorly described in how they are used in a language or in the language, particularly whether it's through subtitles, when it's come to cartoons, anime, manga, comic books, games, etc. You don't necessarily get how the language works or where to use those things, right? In structured sentences. So I'm finding Rosetta Stone to be a pretty damn good tool, a pretty damn good program in learning this language. And I hope anyone who's watching these videos also finds that too, even though obviously it's not as interactive for you guys or girls, but as a resource, I'm hoping it's helping because there are so many resources out there. Not all of them are free. Not all of them seem to approach things in a constructive way. They sort of rely on the end user to strategize and structure their own lessons, which isn't necessarily what everyone's looking for. So here's hoping. Hi. Hello, welcome to the stream. So let's try with this next section on this review of core lesson.
女の子は食べています。女の子はジュースを飲んでいます。男の子は水を飲んでいます。
So it's going to ask us to select these bottom ones as before. And we're just going to repeat these so we get what's the pronunciation is.
女の子は食べています。
It's not too hard, is it? And again.
女の子は食べています。
So we can deduce from this sentence, onnanoko is young girl. Watabete imasu is there is. Imasu is there is or there are. And then dabite, so eating. This is eating. So there is girls eating. One thing I've noticed trick-wise with the Japanese language. So, I don't want to draw too many comparisons or stereotypes, but a good way of looking at how Japanese is structured when you're looking to back translate to English. Imagine you are speaking to Yoda from Star Wars. Young girls eating there are. or there is. That's literally what that sentence translates back to in English. So when it will probably muck up those who watch Star Wars and then listen to Yoda, but that's exactly the kind of dynamic I think they used in writing his character speech, is they've just taken Japanese and translated it back into English directly without any grammatical sense, so that if you was to write Yoda's sentences in Japanese, it would actually make perfect literal sense. So yes, young girls eating there are. And the same with this one. Young girls juice, drink there is. So we'll repeat this one.
女の子はジュースを飲んでいます。
This here is juiceを飲んでいます。飲んでいます。
女の子はジュースを飲んでいます。
So the juiceを飲んでいます sort of blends into each other. So you end up hiding things a little bit in the grammar of the sentence, but it's needed there for writing and understanding, obviously. So we're working on
男の子は水を飲んでいます。
So we're looking for a young boy who drinks water. Or in this case, young boy, water, drinks there is. So is it going to be the tabete boy here who is eating, or is it going to be mizu with the water drinking? Of course, it's going to be this boy here.
男の子は食べています。
As we can hear on this one,
男の子は食べています。
It's got to be the boy who's eating at the table, right? There we go. And here we're just learning the pronunciation of onnanoko and otokonoko, young girl and young boy.
女の子
Onnanoko,
女の子男の子
otokonoko.
男の子
Lovely stuff. And again, we're now applying what we've just recently learnt here to these set pictures of single young people. Whether it's a girl, boy, and whether they're drinking juice, drinking water, eating, and eating. Let's go.
女の子はジュースを飲んでいます。
Onnanoko wa juiceを飲んでいます。
女の子はジュースを飲んでいます。男の子は水を飲んでいます。
Otokonoko wa mizuを飲んでいます。
男の子は水を飲んでいます。女の子は食べています。
Onnanoko wa食べています。
女の子は食べています。男の子は食べています。
Otokonoko wa 食べています。
男の子は食べています。
Fabulous. What a great start to this. And we're just getting to the 10th slide out of the 40. So we're a quarter of the way through of the core lesson. What a great review in 20 minutes. So this will take probably an hour or so. And then we can move on to the next one and we'll review the next section.
女の人、男の人、男の人。
So here we're learning about the older gentleman and the older lady and how that gets prescribed within a sentence in Japanese, where the noun of the person changes slightly. So we have
女の人、
onna no hito for older lady and
男の人、
otoko no hito for the older gentleman. And we're looking to find
男の人、
otoko no hito, the older man. So it's just going to be this one.
女の人、
And again, process of elimination, but obviously we're looking for the female. Onna no hito. Lovely. So now we're going to practice the pronunciation and put it into practice.
女の人、
女の人。
女の人、男の人、
男の人。
男の人。
Passes to slide 12. So now we're going to put it into practice with what we've learned about water, eating, and nonde as drinking. So again, yes, we can see it's like Yoda. Older lady, water, drinks, there is. Older lady, eats, there is. Or eating, there is. Older man, water, drinks, there is. And the same here, which will be otoko no hito wa tabete imasu. Older gentleman eats, there is. So let's crack on with this.
女の人は水を飲んでいます。
女の人は水を飲んでいます。
女の人は食べています。女の人は食べています。
Oh, my pronunciation was terrible there. I'm going to try again.
女の人は食べています。男の人は食べています。
男の人は食べています。
男の人は食べています。男の人は水を飲んでいます。男の人は水を飲んでいます。
Beautiful. 4 out of 4. Again, as a review, not so hard, not so difficult, but it does ramp up. So if you're following, I hope that this is making some headway into what you're seeing and hearing and hopefully trying at home.
女の子は食べています。
So again,
女の子は食べています。
That's 女の子は young girl 食べています。
女の人は食べています。
女の人は食べています。It's the older lady eating. There is.
男の子は食べています。
男の子は It's the young boy 食べています。
男の人は食べています。
男の子は
男の人は食べています。
Sorry, I'm tripping up over my own tongue and piercing now. That's my fault. My apologies. So we're getting 4 out of 4 on all of these so far. That's good signs. It means that I'm remembering things. And in this core lesson, stuff here seems to have stuck enough. And my understanding has grown through the other 3 or 4 modules that I've done so far.
女の子は水を飲んでいます。
女の子は水を飲んでいます。
男の人はジュースを飲んでいます。
That's quite an easy one, isn't it? It stands out like a sore thumb if you've been following so far.
男の人はジュースを飲んでいます。男の人はジュースを飲んでいます。女の子は食べています。
女の子は食べています。
女の子は食べています。男の人は食べています。
Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. It's just my quick pronunciation is what requires there to be slightly more nuance and a little bit more perfection. But that's me. You might be doing better at home.
男の人は走っています。
Okay, so now we've been given a new adjective here, which is hashite. Now, hashite is running. Okay, so let's try it. Otoko no hito wa. So that's older gentleman. Running, there is. So it's not going to be the kid with the balloons. It's not the kid down here, and it certainly isn't the female that's running. So it's got to be this guy.
女の人は走っています。
女の人は走っています. It's got to be the older lady running because it's 女の人は, not 女の子は.
男の子は走っています。
There we go. That's the young boy. So 男の子は走っています.
男の子は走っています。女の子は走っています。
So it's got to be the little girl with the balloons. Let's hear it again.
女の子は走っています。
Cool. Definitely getting them all right there. I hope you are as well.
男の子は本を読んでいます。
So now we have another word which we know hon. Hon is book. And oyond is to read. And otokonoko we know is young boy. So we can deduce from the three words, young boy book reads there is. This boy here.
女の子は本を読んでいます。
Process of elimination. Onnanoko wa we know is a young girl. And she's doing the same thing. So let's have a repeat of her.
女の子は本を読んでいます。 女の人は本を読んでいます。
女の人は本を読んでいます。
男の人は本を読んでいます。
Still got a little bit of the old chesty cough. But let's try again, shall we? So that you guys can hear.
男の人は本を読んでいます。
So we know that's the older gentleman who's reading a book. And we've got all of them there. Look at that. Brilliant. Then we progress where it's starting to mix things up, where each person's getting a different activity. So let's try this.
女の人は新聞を読んでいます。
So let's try that one together.
女の人は新聞を読んでいます。
So, 新聞を読んでいます. It's the newspaper that she's reading, correct? I think so. Let's try that one.
女の人は走っています。
Brilliant. So again, older lady who is running, there is. So it's the only one that's jogging.
女の人は走っています。 女の人はお茶を飲んでいます。
Ocha, obviously hot drinks, tea. So when it's too hot coming out of the boiling water of the kettle. So yes, that's going to be this lady down here. So let's try that together.
女の人はお茶を飲んでいます。
Brilliant.
女の人は食べています。
Again, this tabete is eating. So 女の人は食べています。 女の人は食べています。 Brilliant. Again, number 4 out of 4, and we're nearly halfway. This is not a bad review so far. We've done the 17 slides so far. We've not made a mistake. And hopefully what I'm describing to you is still breaking down some of the things I've learned that you can see in my progress from previous streams and the videos that now live, or those streams that now live on my YouTube channel. For further reference, or for going at your own pace, being able to rewind, etc. And what I've come to learn regarding the Japanese language thus far. So hopefully if you're following this, whether it's live or in the video, you're starting to get an understanding of how the language works, and also learning at the same kind of pace that I am. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's casual, but I find that this kind of approach tends to work for me, and it's certainly cementing in the basics of learning and speaking Japanese, and the formulation of these sentences. So let's crack on.
男の子は走っています。
So straight away I can identify that this is going to be a young boy that's running. There's only one picture here for this, isn't there? So
男の子は走っています。
I'm going to do that again, even though I know which one it is.
男の子は走っています。
Try and get that pronunciation, even though in this lesson it doesn't matter. It's always good to repeat it a couple of times before selecting the answer.
男の子は本を読んでいます。
本を読んでいます. Someone's reading a book. Someone is reading a book. You think it's this guy here? I think it is.
男の子は 本を
本
読んでい
ま
ます。
す。Fabulous.
男の子は水を飲んでいます。
Straight away, Mizu stands out, doesn't it, as water? So we'll have that one again.
男の子は水を飲んでいます。
Brilliant.
男の子は食べています。
Process of elimination, obviously it's got to be the last slide or picture that's here on this slide, sorry. But always worth repeating, revisiting, rehashing.
男の子は食べています。
Brilliant. There we go. So now we're starting to get to the difference when it comes from going from the singular. So now you can see a group of, plural, which is what tashi means, or tachi in this instance of pronunciation. So we got otoko no ko tachi and onna no ko tachi. And then we've also got otoko no shitachi and onna no shitotachi. So these two at the bottom, quite a bit harder to say because of the way that we English speakers read these gaps in pronouncing these particular words and syllabic phrases or syllabic constructs as part of the language, which hopefully we can practice here to get a little bit more fluent in the delivery rather than the sound. It's about, when it comes to languages like this, or any language actually, from what I've found, it's being able to get your mouth to make the sounds and shapes that it needs to make for the language you're speaking, which obviously if it's not your first language is going to be a bit more difficult because your muscle memory is not used to making those particular shapes and producing those particular sounds in that order. Which I think is where most people stumble when it comes to learning a language, because it doesn't relate to the reading that the eyes and the brain are trying to process. So you get this disparity in speed of how the brain makes up the total information. And for neurodivergent myself, which struggles with that mismatch across a lot of things, obviously I notice that patternistic interrupt more often than not. When it comes to learning things. So there are some things I can pick up like this, and there are other things that take so much longer. And it's finding the workarounds to that hurdle. So hopefully, again, this material of showing you my progress of teaching myself the language with this program and documenting it for others to see is also helping you see and learn and pick up this language of Japanese, even if we're on the basics of level 1, because you've got to start at level 1, right? And just to take the pressure off of the daunting task of learning what's seen as one of the harder languages to learn on the planet when you're coming from English as your first and only language. So let's go.
男の子たち、
Otoko no kotachi.
男の子たち、女の子たち、
Onna no kotachi.
女の子たち、
This will be the hard one.
男の人たち、
Otoko no shitotachi.
男の人たち、女の人たち、
Onna no shitotachi.
女の人たち。
Nice. That one wasn't as hard, but it's still being able to stop and push that st in the onna no shitotachi or the otoko no shitotachi. It's just a little bit, it feels unnatural, but with practice, obviously getting past that hurdle, it becomes more and more natural as you learn the language. So let's crack on with these slides. We're now at number 20, which is good. We're halfway. And it's taken 35 minutes. So we'll assume that it will take another 35 minutes to get through this module. I'll have a little quick break and then we'll crack on with the other modules.
女の子は水を飲んでいます。
Onna no ko wa mizu wo nonde imasu.
女の子は水を飲んでいます。
So, little girl drinking water. Brilliant.
男の子は食べています。
It's going to be this little boy down here. 男の子は食べています。
男の子は食べています。
And together.
男の子は食べています。
Brilliant.
女の子たちは水を飲んでいます。
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 It's got to be these girls, right? We can't see that they're drinking water, but we assume so because we're being told
男の
so.
子たちは食べています。
男の子たちは食べています。It's going to be this group of boys here eating.
男の子たちは食べています。
Beautiful. So the next slide will be us pronouncing these sentences. So I'll go a little bit slower on this for those who need the pronunciation. We'll do a couple of repeats. We'll hear it first, and we'll do a couple of repeats with. Hopefully. Actually, no, because it's now the pronunciation. My bad. Apologies. I need to pronounce these correct to move on to the next. So this is all down to my pronunciation. So hopefully, what we hear, we'll be able to replicate and get the pronunciation correct. So let's try that.
男の子たちは食べています。
男の子たちは食べています。
男の子たちは食べています。女の子たちは走っています。
女の子たちは走っています。
女の子たちは走っています。女の人たちはジュースを飲んでいます。
女の人たちはジュースを飲んでいます。
女の人たちはジュースを飲んでいます。男の人たちは新聞を読んでいます。
男の人たちは新聞を読んでいます。
男の人たちは新聞を読んでいます。
That's a little bit difficult to say that last one, but we did it. I hope you managed to as well. We're slowly getting the pronunciation. It is getting easier for me to recall. So I assume and hope that it is for yourself as well. Just because of the amount of repetitions that I've done, as you would see in the previous videos, where I have not left the particular screen and slide until I have all of them correct. Even if it meant that I started off really well, came back down to like getting more wrong, to get back up again, just so that the understanding is there. And I'm not just trying to cheese it with the process of elimination in the program, which is a little easy to do. It has been an issue, but that is exactly why I repeat the answers to these slides until I'm comfortable to move on. Which is why I'm showing the mistakes that are in with the videos. I'm not cutting or editing these at all, because I want a true and accurate representation of the progress I'm making to show that it can be done from scratch using something like this, that the understanding of the language, you can learn it. It's not the hardest thing. It's just getting the right tool, spending the time doing so, and then having a good ethic of, training yourself to do this over and over again, to learn it, to cement it in the brain before moving on to something more difficult, so that it becomes a more natural thing to be able to bring out of yourself and produce like we would with our own language, So let's crack on. And by the way, I'm no linguist or anything. This is just something I really wanted to pursue and do for my own goal and benefit. And I think it's just a good idea to document and record that and produce this video, put it on a place where other people can view it and watch it, and use this resource along with me and the video to learn themselves. Because I know how hard it can be to learn a language when you might not have the budget for various programs and apps. You might not know where to look, or the resources that you find aren't necessarily complete. They might not be well translated. They might not give you any context, etc., etc. They might not help you structure how you want to learn. Some of them aren't always the best tools, all these sorts of things. Everyone learns in a different way. Everyone digests information in a different way. So, I think this is an easy in, shall we say, a casual in to being able to learn this at the same in the same manner and way and speed that I am. And I'm just showcasing that. So I hope that this does help. Let's crack on.
男の人はお茶を飲んでいます。
So here we are. Older boy or older man is drinking tea. It's got to be this guy, right? So
男の人はお茶を飲んでいます。
It was a bit fast.
男の人はお茶を飲んでいます。 男の人たちは水を飲んでいます。
See how hitotachi now means that we are automatically going to a group of people, so we can discount the single. And we also know with this noun here that otoko is male, onnanoko is female. So 男の人たちは水を飲んでいます。
女の子たちは走っています。
女の子たちは走っています。
女の子は走っています。
女の子は走っています。 There we go. Cracking on.
女の人たちは食べています。
女の人たちは食べています。And again.
女の人たちは食べています。男の子は本を読んでいます。
男の子は本を読んでいます。
男の子は本を読んでいます。男の子たちは本を読んでいます。
男の子たちは本を読んでいます。
男の子たちは本を読んでいます。女の人は食べています。
女の人は食べています。
女の人は食べています。
Awesome. See, it just gets easier and easier and easier. Although this program does chuck out some harder ones towards the end to sort of force you into a jump to learn things and all put together everything that you've learned. But that jump is welcome because it pushes your brain past that point of that forgetfulness and then the re-remembering so that you actually build those new neurons that cement the memory into you. So it's why I quite like Rosetta Stone in this incarnation. I know that after 3.4.7, it developed past a few things, became a little bit more streamlined, became more mobile friendly, and then I think they got bought out by a company, and it's been I've not seen the state of it since. I prefer this more direct, encyclopedic, old school, Windows XP, Windows 7 latest style design of program. Back when things were more basic. It just seems to be a little bit more linear and a little bit more controlled rather than trying to give you all the options under the sun to learn. So, and obviously you're not having to pay subscription fees and all that sort of stuff. It was sort of a purchase once and then you're done, which is obviously a model that we all prefer than these live subscription pay each month to continue your service kind of things. So, let's crack on.
男の人たちは新聞を読んでいます。
Let's get that one again.
男の人たちは新聞を読んでいます。男の人たちは走っています。男の人たちは走っています。女の人たちは本を読んでいます。女の人たちは本を読んでいます。
Ooh, I tripped over myself there.
女の人たちは本を読んでいます。 女の人たちは走っています。
女の
女の人
人たち
たちは
は
走っ
走ってて
いま。
いますす。See, I'm now starting to not have to read when those blank ones come up. I'm now starting to be able to visualize what is under that blank card. I can hear what's being said, and I can now imagine it being when the pronunciation bit comes in, when it tracks what you're saying under the strictness. I'm now being able to see it like subtitles, right? Which is good. That's a good place to be in after 3 days of this week doing this, having yesterday off, and then revisiting today, and we're coming up to a third of the way in to the core lesson, and it's already starting to consolidate for me. The visualization, which is how I prefer doing things, is by seeing things and then doing something. I learn best that method, that way. And already my brain is starting to picture what this program is doing to when nothing is there, which is how you want things. It's how I remember when I was in school learning French. When you end up coming home, you start speaking it to people, or even going to France when my grandparents lived out there for a few years, being the family translator, as it were, to be able to make sense of the language and stuff. I could picture it in my head. The words that were being formulated from the amount of times that we used to write stuff down, how things would appear in textbooks, etc. So that's really good. That's a good sign that your brain is starting to remember what you're being taught without having to have this repetitive prompting where you're having to get an answer correct, and get marked on it, which again is why I won't move on until I've got all of the slides in, all of the pictures and material in one slide correct until I move on to the next. Because guaranteed you require that particular slide and piece of work for the next slide. So it's cumulative learning. So let's try this slide. Crack on.
女の子たちは本を読んでいます。
Beautiful.
女の子たちは本を読んでいます。女の人たちは本を読んでいます。女の人たちは本を読んでいます。
See, that's still a group. Older group.
女の子は本を読んでいます。
女の子は本を読んでいます。
女の人は本を読んでいます。
女の人は本を読んでいます。Brilliant. Beautiful. So now we're starting to get a change in the noun. Okay, to show that there is another variation from what we've just learned. Okay, so let's try these ones out as we get to slide 26. Powering through the core lesson. Powering through.
彼は走っています。
彼は走っています。
彼女は本を読んでいます。
So we can see from most of the second part of the sentence, right? We can see what we're looking for, the doing and the object, right? So we know it's going to be this girl here. What changes is the otoko or the onano. So it's now going to kare for male and konojo for girl. Okay?
彼女はジュースを飲んでいます。
So we can see it shows us the relationship in relation to the change that's being made. So it keeps it basic at the end because we've already learnt this stuff, but it's showing us the change that's happening up front to relate that onano becomes kanojo and otoko becomes kare. Okay? So we're now getting different tense in the language. The same as you would see in France or French is a good denominator where la and le determine male or female. The same as they used to do in in Latin. Latin you feminizes and maleizes certain words just because of how the construct of their language worked. So yes, those kinds of things in more complex language determine what happens to the word thereafter. Is it a male word? Is it a female word? That gives us the tense that then allows us to be able to speak the language, and then determines any supplementals that might happen to it, like can it have a magic E in it, for example? Can it be pluralized? You know, does the feminine happen as a singular? Can it be a doing or like an action or an activity, etc.? Is it descriptive? So this is where you start getting the nuances of complicated language, I suppose. And I'm nowhere near versed enough on it, but just as an overview, a generalization, we can now start relating it to the things we know in our own language. So let's do this one.
彼女はジュースを飲んでいます。彼は食べています。
彼は食べています。
彼は食べています。
There we go. You can see just that one difference. And then it applies when we change the groupings of singular to plural. However, in this, notice how the female plural becomes kanojo tachi wa, whereas the male plural becomes karera wa. Karera wa. This is a very hard one to pronounce for me. Let's try.
彼女はお茶を飲んでいます。
彼女はお茶を飲んでいます。
彼女たちは食べています。
彼女たちは食べています。
彼は走っています。
彼は走っています。
彼らは本を読んでいます。
You see how it sounds like it trips over itself. 彼らは本を読んでいます。That one I still feel like I need practice on, so we'll do it again. 彼らは
本を読んでいます。
Nope, definitely tripped over my own tongue there.
彼らは本を読んでいます。彼らは本を読んでいます。
Yeah, you can see how there are certain syllabic components to this language that will make us trip up over ourselves. Again, until we start getting more and more fluent and confident, being able to produce from the English read variation of what we're trying to say, so that we can pronounce the actual Japanese. This starts to get consolidated into being able to read the Japanese a little later on.
彼は走っています。
彼は走っています。
彼女は走っています。
彼女は走っています。
子供たちは走っています。子
彼
供
女
たち
たちは
は
走っ
走っててい
いま
ます。
す。See how kid goes 子供たちは for female. Oh, here we go. We've got a new doing verb, which is to cook, which is 許してme. Really hard to say.
彼女は料理しています。
料理してます。
彼女は料理しています。
Let's try.
彼女は料理しています。
So 彼女 female.
彼らは料理しています。
彼らは is group of. So
彼らは料理しています。彼は料理しています。
彼は料理しています。Yes, to cook is quite a difficult adjective to say. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has trouble learning that particular adjective.
女の子は泳いでいます。
And here we have our new adjective. It's to go swimming. 泳いでいます. So
女の子は泳いでいます。男の子たちは泳いでいます。
Group of boys swimming.
男の子たちは泳いでいます。女の人たちは泳いでいます。
So we got group of older females swimming. And there's a mistake in the program. Look, imas is not supposed to have a gap there.
女の人たちは泳いでいます。男の人は泳いでいます。
So that's a group, an older man who swims. There is.
男の人は泳いでいます。
Brilliant. That's slide 30. So we've got a third left to go. Sorry, a quarter of this this core lesson to go, and we're at 56 minutes. That's not too bad.
男の人たちは食べています。
So that's going to be the group of guys, older gentlemen, sitting and eating lunch.
男の人たちは食べています。男の人は料理しています。
Oh, that's a group of older gentlemen cooking.
男の人は料理しています。
No, it is not. It's the one older gentleman cooking.
男の人は料理しています。男の人は食べています。
It's the older gentleman by himself sitting at the table eating. So,
男の人は食べています。男の人たちは料理しています。
So that's the older gentleman group of cooking.
男の人たちは料理しています。
Beautiful, beautiful. We're definitely getting this cemented in for doing this core lesson. The lessons afterwards have definitely cemented in what's what and how to pronounce stuff, and then to repeat it without actually having the prompt of having the words there. So that's good news. It means I'm on the right track.
女の人は泳いでいます。
女の人は泳いでいます。So that's going to be this one.
女の人は走っています。
And we'll go again. 女の人は走っています。It's going to be the older lady jogging, running.
女の人たちは走っています。
You can see we've got the older group of ladies who are running. There is. 女の人たちは走っています。
女の人たちは泳いでいます。
So we've got here the older group of ladies swimming. There is. So it's going to be this one.
女の人たちは泳いでいます。
Beautiful. Beautiful. We love to see it. We love to see it. So now we're on to the change of the noun, which is to show that you can... I'm not too sure on the usage of this noun versus the previous. I'm guessing the previous is a bit more basic and a bit improper, and this is probably a bit more formal. Just considering I know that there are polite Japanese and, regular Japanese, as it were. And you use them in different ways and manners depending on the situation you are, whether you are talking up to someone or whether you are on the level with someone. So the level would be with like family and friend members versus if you're in your work environment. And that's not necessarily to your boss, it's just your environment tends to dictate the way that you utilize certain parts of the Japanese language to be polite and proper versus not as polite and proper. So for us, that's the formal versus informal. Okay? At least that's been my understanding with regards to their media, the stuff I've researched, the things I know about the culture and the language, and what we're learning here in Rosetta Stone with these small changes.
彼は泳いでいます。
彼は泳いでいます。
彼は泳いでいます。彼は走っています。
彼は走っています。
彼は走っています。彼は料理しています。
彼は料理しています。
彼は料理しています。彼は食べています。
彼は食べています。
彼は食べています。
So that's the pronunciation slide where you could see on that first one I didn't get a full circlet to say that my pronunciation was good, and I know it was on oyoideimasu towards the end. But it is what it is. It's still passed, it's still green, it's good. So here's where we learn aspects of Japanese alphabetization as to whether you're doing hiragana, which is very swirly cursive. Okay, katakana is very simple and straight edge, and kanji is what everyone tends to remember. This is more for cumulative signposting, and I believe the ancient language relies on a lot of kanji.
ひらがな、
Hiragana,
ひらがな、カタカナ、
katakana,
カタカナ、漢字、
kanji.
漢字。
So you can see in the picture the differences. Now we're going to learn how to use those differences. So we can see how, right, yes, so kanji is more for consolidated sign writing, your menus, it's more symbolic. It would be closer to full descriptive hieroglyphic type writing versus your cursive hiragana or your simple, more formal katakana. Again, at least from what I've learned thus far, and from what I cumulatively know from my own research and from understanding the differences of how it's likely to be applied and used. And that's from actual Japanese podcasts and channels. But again, only just learning. It's very limited. Take it with a grain of salt. Go research yourself just to double check and make sure. But from the way that the program's using it, how it's teaching us to use it, it's the basic understanding. This is all like the preschool and going into first grade primary school stuff that they teach little kids, because you learn, for us, we learn about our home language in schools and how these things work to get a better understanding, which obviously grows as we grow up and we take it in like a sponge, trying to convert what we know in English to another language so that we understand it and can use it and speak it fluently. Obviously, we're starting at that base level, so we're going to be learning all of these different things. Let's crack on then. Let's see how we go here.
彼女は漢字を書いています。
So we already know that this one with the kanji is this one right here, and we know that it's single female who kaite is write. It's writing. It's to write. So 彼女は漢字を書いています. Single older lady, kanji, she writes. There is.
彼女は漢字を書いています。
We'll have that one.
彼はひらがなを書いています。
Hiragana we know is the cursive. Karewa we know is older, single, male. Kaiteimasu, writes there is.
彼はひらがなを書いています。
Beautiful.
彼らはカタカナを書いています。
And this one we know is a group of male writing katakana. 彼らはカタカナを書いています. Beautiful. Slide 35 out of 40. So now we're on to putting it all together. And this is where I think there's a little bit of a jump in the learning, because it puts all the previous lessons together in one, mashes it all up into a nice complicated soup to push your boundaries in learning and being able to relate to what you see is what's up here, so that you know that the adjective and whether it's single or plural, whether it's male or female, whether they're young or old, and what they're doing, their activity, whether they're eating, whether they're cooking, whether they're writing, or whether they're swimming. I think that's a pretty good all-rounded way and methods to be able to teach a language. So let's go. So what's this one? This one is going to be Karera wa tabete imasu.
彼らは
Karera wa
食べて
tabete
います。
Beautiful.
彼らは食べています。
Still a mouthful on that first word going into the wa. Karera wa tabete imasu.
彼らは食べています。
Karera wa tabete imasu. Get faster.
彼らは食べています。
So we can start to blend it all together. But obviously I want to have the fluency where I'm crisp and clean without being too foreign. Which is going to be hard to come, you know, for a ginger white guy going to Japan. That's going to come across pretty solidly, not just by visual, but when I go to speak Japanese. However, by the time I get out to Japan in a couple years' time, I'm hoping that I'll be fluent enough to subdue some of the white English speaking nuances to how I'm approaching and speaking Japanese. Whether I'm fluently able to converse, you know, it's the accent I want to soften to be able to be more accurate. So let's try that one more time.
彼らは食べています。
Nice. Okay, so we're now on to this one. So we are looking for a group, plural, 2 or more, of females, older females, who are cooking. Well, we know gaite and oyoide is write and swim respectively. So it's going to be kanojo tachi wa ryū shite imasu.
彼女たちは料理しています。
Oh, I need to practice that cooking adjective.
彼女たちは料理しています。 彼女たちは料理しています。
Lovely jubbly. Now we're getting down to the swimming and the writing. So we've only got one option of swimming here, and one thing I do like about this is that it stands out like a sore thumb. So we'll try this.
彼らは泳いでいます。
And again, for the 彼らは
彼らは泳いでいます。彼らは泳いでいます。彼らは泳いでいます。
Okay, I think I got it.
彼らは泳いでいます。
Didn't mean to do that.
彼らは泳いでいます。
彼らは泳いでいます. So now we know that this one is going to be kaite because it's the writing. And we know it's kanojo tachi because there's a group of young girls. But we also know it's not yushitemasu because that's cooking, and we know it's not oyoidemasu because we just had that with the swimming. So it has to be this one with the process of elimination. So let's practice the pronunciation.
彼女たちは書いています。
And again.
彼女たちは書いています。
And then we'll select. And we know that's correct.
彼女たちは書いています。
Brilliant. Beautiful. So you can see, again, my method of being able to learn this from slide to slide and being able to solidify it, consolidate it, remember it, and use it and utilize it to practice what I'm reading, what I'm hearing, and what I'm speaking, I think is really solid. I think it's a good foundation and a good method, particularly with this program, in being able to learn the language. And also to show you my progress that in these videos, obviously you'll be able to learn at home with this as a resource. So it's not too important that you don't have this language, I suppose, particularly if you're not watching the live stream. Obviously you can't just scoot back in the live stream on the video, but on the YouTube channel where these videos live permanently, you can go watch each one and scan to where you need to, play it through, watch me probably repeat where I've made mistakes, and if you don't want to do that, you can skip ahead. But if there are sections that you want to keep repeating, you can keep skipping back, keep repeating that one slide until you're comfortable to move on. So let's crack on with this. Number 37 out of 40. Here we go.
女の子たちは書いています。
Onna no kotachi wa kaite imasu. Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to be looking at this particular slide because they're the only ones who are writing in a group.
女の子たちは書いています。
There we go.
女の子は書いています。
And the singular writer.
女の子は書いています。
It's got to be this girl here, right? Lovely jubbly.
女の子は本を読んでいます。
So again, we're looking for a singular girl who is book reading there is. So it's going to be her down in this bottom corner. Let's get the pronunciation.
女の子は本を読んでいます。
Beautiful.
女の子たちは本を読んでいます。
Now we're back at a group of young girls who are book reading there is. It's got to be this one, so let's pronounce.
女の子たちは本を読んでいます。
And again.
女の子たちは本を読んでいます。
Here we go with the noun change from, I assume, impolite or improper to proper. Just because, again, the way that these are presented, look, they seem to operate in a more complicated manner that suggests more proper use language, as opposed to the more basic otoko and onano. Seems to be a little bit more basic and improper that these are based on. So let's give these a go.
彼女は本を読んでいます。
Kanojo wa hon o yonde-imasu.
彼女は本を読んでいます。彼はジュースを飲んでいます。
Kare wa juice o nonde-imasu.
彼はジュースを飲んでいます。彼女は書いています。
Kanojo wa kaite-imasu.
彼女は書いています。彼は食べています。
Kare wa tabete-imasu.
彼は食べています。
Beautiful. It's 38 out of 40. On to 39. Going to be putting it all together now, I think.
彼女はお茶を飲んでいます。彼女は食べています。彼はジュースを飲んでいます。
Kare wa tabete-imasu.
彼は食べています。
So I had to think about that then, because I needed to figure out what it was asking of me in that particular slide. Because again, it just throws it on you. It really does just throw that one on you. So let's try that again. We'll go back. So in this slide, last before it asks you to sign off and say goodbye, it goes through these and it asks you to speak by yourself the last slide. So we'll pronounce these as we go. Now we know what they are.
彼
彼
女
女は
はお
お茶
茶を
を飲ん
飲んでい
でいま
ます。
す。
彼
彼
女は
女は
食べ
食べて
ていま。
いますす。彼
彼
は
は
ジ
ジュー
ュース
スを
を飲
飲ん
んでい
でいま。
ますす。彼は食べています。
彼は食べています。
So you get the follow on of how that last slide in this particular lesson actually modulates after all of that learning previous. And then we get the classic after the greeting on the first slide. We get a goodbye on the last slide in both male and female form.
さようなら。
さようなら。
Sayonara,
さようなら。
which everyone pronounces as sayonara. And it's the inflection of cadence that's actually a little bit more important as to whether you're seen as, yeah, you're trying, but you're also butchering the language. Versus, are you actually invested and are you speaking, properly, correctly, with the right nuance? So there we go. That's our first lesson. What I'm going to do now is take a quick break. I'm going to grab a drink and grab something to eat. I'm going to keep the stream going. I will just be back shortly. And we'll move straight on into the writing. so that we can turn around and see what's going on there. Okay, so let's continue. Did we continue to lesson 1? Let's go to the home screen actually. That's lesson 1. Turn around and pull up lesson 2, which again, these are shorter. Lesson 2 pronunciation. You can see as well the difference between using English symbols versus the hiragana and katakana symbolization, which I will keep in this one until, is it this one that I was doing where, let me go to home, pronunciation, yeah, it was that one. It's the writing one, the last module I was doing. That was the one that I struggled with, because there is no tab at the bottom in this section here that I'm highlighting. I'm going backwards and forwards between. Yeah, you see that at the bottom where it says hiragana and katakana above the numbers, and then in this one it says kanji, because you can't see my mouse. Right here, this tab doesn't exist in the writing. It's forcing you to learn Japanese. So what I've done is, all the way up to that point, I've used the ABC English, so that I can see the actual letter to relate the English word. So o, to, hito, ko, no. We've already got that construct there, but it's o, to, ko, no, hito in pronunciation, right? Otoko no hito. But we can turn around and then see how it would be written in the hiragana and katakana symbols of the Japanese language, right? So otoko no hito. Otoko no hito. So you can see how it groups the sounds together to produce what would be written for that basic. But for now, we'll stay in English because we're not at the writing stage, and I'm reviewing what we've done throughout the whole week in one big go. So that's where we're going to start. I'm just going to quickly go make a coffee, grab a break, and then we'll crack on from there. So while we're doing that, bear with me and allow me to have a little bit of music while I Oh, gotta love a good coffee. Gotta love a good coffee. Let's pull the music off. We've done that now. A couple of tracks in there. Right. Got the old cofferoonie. Good old mug with pictures of my daughter on it. Gotta love it. Right. So here we are in lesson 1 pronunciation. As you can see, we've only got 10 slides on this one, so it's this one and the next one were quite short, which is why I did them in one stream and in one video back to back. Just to eke out the length of said stream. Otherwise it'd only be 10-15 minutes, right? So let's crack on with this. Again, it's the pronunciation, so it's going to be a lot of speaking back, I should assume. Again, I did this on Tuesday, so trying to remember that far back. A little bit hazy, but I'm pretty damn sure. So let's crack on with it.
男の人を
Or
おと
to
とこ
ko
この
no
の人
shito
人男の人
otoko no shito. Beautiful.
男の人
Great. So we get an idea in a sense for how the lesson is. We can also relate the English to the Japanese symbol at the bottom, hiragana or katakana. And we're also learning, as you can see with the previous one, that was otoko no shito, which is older man, and now we're learning older lady, onna no shito. So it's taken us again through the things that we've learned previous in the core lessons, and we're just slowly building on that foundation. So we're getting a good foundation here of core basics and then pronunciation to be able to say it correctly, which again, if you've got this program, you're using a mic and you've got your level of strictness set to easy, normal, you know, where I've got it halfway between normal and strict. You know, I've got mine, like I said, 65-70%. There's only like 3 or 4 notches past that make it ultimately strict, so that I can get this correct to start with. And as you can see on the little speaker bits, there's a little circular bar that colors depending on how successful you are in your pronunciation. And obviously I'm trying to make that fully green at all times. Let's go.
女の人を
Onna no shito. O. There you go. O.
おん
N.
んな
Na.
なの
No. No.
の人
Shito.
人女の人
Onna no shito.
女の人
So that's going to be a fail because I got 2 wrong. Oh no, it's still kept the score. Okay, so it's nice to be able to repeat and not ruin my score, even though I got those 2 wrong. But as you can tell, in these exercises, I can't really commentate or narrate as I'm going because they are immediate. Okay, so these are good ones for if you're at home doing them, but you've got to be there. And as soon as I start, you start and repeat along with. So it feels like it's you who's getting the marks in this rather than myself. Here we go. Konnichiwa.
こんにちは、こ、
Ko. Ko.
こ、ん、
N.
ん、に、
Ni.
に、ち、
Chi.
ち、わ、
Wa.
わ、こんにちは、
Konnichiwa.
こんにちは、
So as you could see and hear, that first one, ko, I had the pronunciation, but I might have been a little too early. I might have jumped the gun a little bit. So again, I'm trying to make sure I'm bang on the money when it comes to these. As soon as that slides up and it gives us the little space to say what we need to, so it picks it up. I'm also hoping that that's why you need your microphone set up really well to be able to pick up said voice, so that the program picks it up. And then also it's got that strict filter. So obviously it's being quite strict with me because I've got it set to be quite strict. That's what I want. Because again, it's then forcing me to get it right.
さようなら、さ、
Sa, sa,
さ、よ、
yo,
よ、う、
u,
な、
na,
な、ら、
ra,
ら、さようなら、
sayonara. It's why I'm trying to
sayonara.
copy. It's why I'm trying to copy exactly how it's being said in this program. Bit of replication, bit of repetition. Just copy. Copying is what's helping me get it right. Or in this case, jumping the gun to the point where it's telling me I'm getting it wrong. And clearly I'm not, because as you can see in the video and as the playback will show and the audio will show, I'm getting these correct. It's just the trigger in the program. But let's not make excuses. Let's make sure that the pronunciation is correct, yeah?
新聞、し、
She,
し、ん、
n,
ん、ぶ、
bu,
ぶ、ん、
n,
ん、新聞、
shinbun.
新聞、
Awesome. Yori, this is the cooking one, which is yorishite.
料理、りょ、
Yo,
りょ、う、
u,
う、り、
yi, ri,
り、料理、
ryori.
料理、
Nice. See how hard that can be with the way that English speakers are trying to, well, for me anyway, I'm trying to replicate what's being said in the manner that's being put across, but obviously my tongue is not used to making that sort of sounds. You're having to push the tongue up to the roof of the mouth and then pull it stopped before it hits your teeth, like how we would do things like teeth, yeah, with the th and th sounds, or ch. We go forward, hits the consonants of that that sound, and then pull back to pull the sound. So ch, ch, yeah. And if you follow the shape of your tongue, it goes forward and then pulls back. Whereas this is the other way around. It goes forward, stops first, and then goes. So oyoi deyamasu. This will be a fun one.
泳いでいます。お、
Or
お、よ、
yo,
よ、い、
i,
い、で、
de,
で、い、
i,
い、ます、
mas,
ます。泳いでいます。
oyoi deyamasu.
泳いでいます。
Nice. Got one without another mistake in it. That's good news. Ah, ka, de, ka, de.
彼、か、
Ka,
か、れ、
re,
れ、彼、
ka, de.
彼、
Nice. We on to the kanojo.
彼女、か、
Ka,
かの
no, no,
のじょ
jo,
じょ彼女
kanojo.
彼女
See how it can be quite strict in the singulars on certain slides, even though the pronunciation was correct again. The strictness allows it to pick up that maybe I'm being too long or too short as well. It's not just the cadence and the roll or the double stop of the particular sound of these nuances in the language. So just to keep that in mind.
彼らか
Ka,
れ
re,
ら
ra,
彼ら
garera.
彼ら
Also, personally for me, I struggle a little bit with my R's because of the damage done to my tongue during my younger days with the TIA stroke, which is why I have my tongue pierced to lift my tongue off the bottom of my mouth, so it's not so lazy in my pronunciation of my own language, English. So that's why you'll notice with my accent, it takes me way more effort to enunciate, to get T's and D's and so on and so forth at the end of my words, so that I'm more clearer or more clear, sorry, in understanding. And I've noticed that R's, soft R's in particular, tend to get lost in my own speech, which obviously coming into something like this, particularly with kaulewa, it turns into a W almost. So it's kind of like how a lisp would operate, or a mumbled stutter could operate. Which obviously I'm trying not to inflict that particular um, nuance of my own speaking into Japanese, but it is what I think will give me an advantage in speaking some of these syllabic contexts across the language, because my tongue is already softened by this damage. So with French is quite a soft language in that regard, and I found it quite easy to sound like I was more local when I was speaking more French back in the day, when I was being that family translator for those family holidays to see my grandparents, who are English, by the way. They just moved out there for the better weather and stuff for a few years. My nan's idea, until she got bored of it and decided to come back. So again, here we are in do we go, it doesn't matter what symbology we're using, so let's go back to the vocabulary, which again I did in English.
こんにちは。
Konnichiwa.
さようなら。
Sayonara.
さようなら。
So now we're picking and choosing the correct images to the words that we have learned in the core lesson, and having learnt the pronunciation of
女の子。
onnanoko,
女の人
onnanoshito,
男の人
otokonoshito,
男の子。
otokonoko. I also like how this program swaps between male and female speakers, so you can hear the nuance regardless of which way round they've done it. You can hear what it sounds like coming from a potential male and a potential female in said language. That's quite handy, because the softer, more subtle approach of a female speaking, just naturally because of how they're physically built, the vocal cords and stuff, can make the same word sound different to a female or a male in speaking, versus when a guy says something that's a bit harsher, a bit deeper, a bit more sharper, shall we say, on the pronunciation. because of the tonality change from the physicality of the voice box. So it's nice that they mixed this up and randomize it. So you're not going to be thrown for a loop when you're there and hearing it come from someone who's slightly softer speaking or of a different pitch because of their range of voice, just because how they're physically built different. Down to, their gender or what have you. So, yeah, good approach. Good approach.
男の子たち、
男の子たち。
男の子たち、女の子たち、
女の子たち。
女の子たち、女の人たち、女の人たち、女の人たち、男の人たち、男の人たち、
男の人たち。
男の人たち。
There we go. So again, the vocabulary with some pronunciation learning. Yeah. So it's again joining two bits together of what we've learned so far and then putting them into practice. Here we go.
本、
Hon. Book.
本、
Hon.
水、
Mizu, which we know is water.
水。ジュース、
Juice.
ジュース。
Juice.
お茶、
Ocha.
お茶、
Ocha.
新聞、
Shinbun.
新聞、
Newspaper. Look at that. Brilliant. We're already halfway through. So here we can see what's coming up, what we've already done. And I expect it to ask us to pronounce these sentences and click where they're supposed to be. As it teaches us some vocabulary. Let's have a look.
男の子は水を飲んでいます。
Okay, so it's the selection.
男の子は水を飲んでいます。
Is that going to be the boy that's drinking the water by himself? Yes, it is.
男の子は本を読んでいます。
男の子は本を読んでいます。Is the boy reading by himself?
男の子は走っています。
男の子は走っています。See where there's a double? I've learned in Japanese that where there's a double letter in the English spelling in this program, it generally means to hang. So
男の子は走っています。
See that hang because we've got the double? It's almost like you read the first, but you don't say it until the second.
男の子は走っています。
Yeah? So it's like you hang on there. If you've got a double, you hang on to it until the last one to say it. And then it brings it either up or down, depending on what's after it. Right? Kind of the same, I've seen and would suggest that it's the same as how when you see a magic key, and then you can change it to ES to make it plural, so it's ES, or you change it to ED to make it past tense. So we, did something, for example, I'm trying to think of a good example now. Keys versus keyed. I am using keys plural, but then if I wanted to key something and I did it in the past, I keyed it in. That sort of thing, I think it's the same kind of structural application here in the pronunciation of the vocabulary when you see something like this, a double.
男の子は走っています。
男の子は食べています。
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 Is that the boy eating? Of course it is. Here we go. This is where it starts to pick up again in complexity, where we're learning these more complicated verbs that I think are a bit more proper as opposed to the informal.
彼らは料理しています。
Well, we know what this is.
彼らは料理しています。
It's the cooking with the
彼
boys.
女たちは書いています。
And that one's writing with the girls. 彼
女たちは書いています。
And again.
彼女たちは書いています。 彼らは泳いでいます。
And this is the one that I slip up on. The 彼らは泳いでいます。泳いでいます is easy enough. It's the 彼らは泳いでいます。彼らは泳いでいます。
泳いでいます。
Cool. We're already on 6 set of 8. So this one's even shorter than the previous. Here we go.
彼はひらがなを書いています。彼はひらがなを書いています。彼らはカタカナを書いています。彼らはカタカナを書いています。彼女は漢字を書いています。
彼女 single female は漢字を書いています。
彼女は漢字を書いています。
Beautiful. Beautiful. And then we've got a consolidation exercise at the end of all the bits that we've just previously learned. So let's have a look.
彼は走っています。
彼は走っています。
彼は食べています。
彼は食べています。
彼女は本を読んでいます。
彼女は本を読んでいます。
彼女はジュースを飲んでいます。
彼女はジュースを飲んでいます。
彼らは料理しています。
彼らは料理しています。Is that the cookers at the bottom? Oh yeah. 彼らは料理しています。
彼らは泳いでいます。
彼らは泳いでいます。彼らは泳いでいます。Beautiful. And then the classic should be, yep, there we go. Let's return to the home screen again. So then we're on to the grammar, correct? Yes, we've got the grammar left to go because we've just we've managed to do the core lesson again. We've managed to do the pronunciation again. We've managed to do the vocabulary again. And you see the date as the January the 8th. Let's do this one again. Yes, continue my current progress. This is the grammar. We've got 10 again. So now we get the highlight to show you the differences in the structural grammar that changes from sentence to sentence and from noun to noun, whether it's single young boy, single young man, single older woman, single younger girl. Okay? At least in this particular.
女の子、
女の子、
男の人、
男の人、
男の子、
男の子、
女の人、
女の人. So I'm not going to do a repeat because we've already done it now twice and it's highlighted so you can see the difference. We should be able to say this is the very, very basic that it starts with anyway. So then girl, boy, man, woman. Alright. We will do repeats on this one because I think this is going to be the speaking one.
の子、
It's the pick. So now we need to pick for the correct grammar for the correct picture. This is going to be ona for female, which is female girl. And otoko is boy.
女の子、
女の
の
子。
子、
男の子。
男の子、
の人、
の人。男の人。
男の人の人、
女の人。
女の人。
Here we go. So now we've got to pick which ones are which. So we know otoko is male and onna is female. And we know that noshito is older and noko is younger. So we'll go with the first one of otoko no shito.
男の人。男の人。
There we go. So we got it correct. The second one's not going to change. And we know that this one is going to follow the older gentleman. So it's going to be the older lady. So it's going to be onna no shito.
女の人。
Beautiful.
女の人。
Now we're moving to the youngsters. And youngster is noko. Or as you see here, the ko refers to them being younger. As opposed to shito. So ko is young, shito is old. So this one is going to be onna no ko.
女の子女の子
Which, as you can see, leaves us with otoko no ko.
男の子
Otoko no ko.
男の子
Fantastic. See, cementing it in, keeping it coming, keeping it going. We're learning this. And it sticks. It's sticking. It's sticking for me. I hope it's sticking for you. And I hope that this progress of review is showing you that it's consolidating the progress that I've made. It's helping me. Hopefully it's helping you. If you're following along live or watching these videos after the fact from YouTube. Oh, refresh with the coffee. Right, it's finished now. Let's crack on.
男の
Shito. Has to be because he's
男
older.
の人。
女の
Ko, because she is younger.
女の子
Onna no ko.
女の
Shito, because she's older. Onna no shito.
女の人。
男の
Ko, because he is younger. Otoko no ko.
男の子
Beautiful. And that's that slide done. And see how easy this is. So you can start to get through with a bit of confidence. And it makes us feel good that we are actually disseminating and learning these basics of the Japanese language. And that feels good. It feels good to me because it feels like, yeah, I'm not just learning it, I'm actually understanding it as well. Because there's a difference between learning something and learning and understanding something. You know, anyone can learn something, but if you don't necessarily understand it, all you've got is information that you can just like bleed out and say to people. But if you haven't got an understanding to it, then the nuance gets lost. You are just repeating information. That's not necessarily a good thing. You need to have some form of understanding for it to make sense. And to say it with a conviction and confidence that other people then also get the understanding from, right? Not just the knowledge.
彼らはカタカナを書いています。
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 It's got to be these guys. The only one that's writing katakana.
女の子はジュースを飲んでいます
I wonder which one this is. 女の子はジュースを飲んでいます。女の子はジュースを飲んでいます。Beautiful.
彼は走っています
彼は走っています。
彼は走っています
I tripped over my own tongue on that second one. Happens every once in a while.
彼は走っています
There we go. Now we're halfway through these slides. Let's crack on still. Back into the doing of stuff. These are going to be pronunciations of the grammar, I believe. Let's give it a go.
彼女、本を読んでいます。
彼女は本を読んでいます。
彼女は本を読んでいます。
彼ら
彼らは
泳いでいます。
泳いでいます。We know this one, or should do, because this is the one that trips me up and probably trips you up as well. So let's go.
彼らは泳いでいます。
Brilliant.
男の子食べています
男の子は食べています。
男の子は食べています。
So we know
彼
how they
は
work,
ひらがな
and we know
書
that
いてい
this
ます。
is likely to be o, because we've already got the wa in the sentence. So 彼はひらがなを書いています。
彼はひらがなを書いています。
Brilliant.
彼、料理しています。
料理しています。
彼は料理しています。
Brilliant.
彼女は漢字
を
書いています。
So 彼女は漢字を書いています。
彼女は漢字を書いています。
Superb. See, it's not amazingly difficult now. We're getting the hang of things. Even if they are the basics, they're starting to feel that cemented in. I feel pretty confident. I feel pretty good. Hope you do too. Let's go from single to group, plural. Understand the grammar of
女
this.
の子たちは走っています。
女の子たちは走っています。
女の子は走っています。
女の子は走っています。
男の子たちは本を読んでいます。
男の子たちは本を読んでいます。
男の子は本を読んでいます。
男の子は本を読んでいます。Beautiful, beautiful. Speeding along now, speeding along. And then we expand, that was the youngsters, now we're expanding into the adults, the older generation.
はお茶を飲んでいます。
So we're here, we have to pick whether it's the older gentleman singular or the older gentleman plural. And we know that hitotashi is plural. So it has to be otoko no shito wachi. Otoko no shito wa ocha nonde imasu.
男の人はお茶を飲んでいます。
Brilliant.
は水を飲んでいます。
So we know that these guys are in a group. So it'll be otoko no shito tachi wa mizu wo nonde imasu.
男の人たちは水を飲んでいます。
Perfect. Brilliant.
は食べています。
So we know that this singular woman, onna no shito wa tabete imasu.
女の人は食べています。
Brilliant.
は食べています。
So this must be onna no shito tachi wa tabete imasu.
女の人たちは食べています。
Brilliant. And then we move on to the next part of the scale, where we go to the proper nouns. So we got kanojo wa ryuri shite imasu, and kare wa ryuri shite imasu. Still struggle with this one word. That's really hard to pronounce. About tripping over yourself.
彼女は料理しています。
彼
女は料理しています。彼は食べています。
彼は食べています。
彼は食べています。
子供たちは走っています。
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 彼らは料理しています。彼らは料理しています。
Beautiful. And then our last slide. It's going to be the hardest one of them all. It should be. Here we go. We've got to pick them. So, what do we think this lady is doing? So I think she's the first option, literally presented. 彼女はお茶を飲んでいます。
彼女はお茶を飲んでいます。
And the second one. Well, there's only one in here that has a group of, so it's 彼女たちは食べています。
彼女たちは食べています。
It has to be, because it can't be the hot drink again. We've already got that one, and it cannot be 彼は走っています, because that's the jogger down here. So,
彼女たちは食べています。
Beautiful.
彼女たちは食べています。
Nice. Down here, oh, there's only one that has writing in it. So we know it's not these two. 彼女はお茶を飲んでいます or 彼女たちは食べています。We've had both of those already. So it has to be
彼らはカタカナを書いています。
And again,
彼らはカタカナを書いています。
Perfect.
彼らはカタカナを書いています。
Brilliant. Now this last one, it can only be this end one. 彼は走っています because we've already done these two. So,
彼は走っています。
And again,
彼は走っています。
Beautiful.
彼は走っています。
And that's the grammar portion module of this particular section. So that's the grammar, which was this one here. So we've done the review of the core lesson, review of pronunciation, straight into the vocabulary review and then we had a break to come into the grammar. So now we're going straight into the reading. Yes, continue my current progress, because I don't want to reset my scores. Now this, as you can see, this is the one that does not have the ABC for the English, because this one's forcing us to recognize Japanese symbols, whether it's hiragana, katakana, or kanji, with their pronunciation. So it gets us into learning these symbols and sounds to what they look like, so we stand a chance of being able to read the language. Right? Again, it's only 11 slides. I'm likely to still get some bits wrong on this, because this is going to be my first repeat of this lesson since starting it and doing it this week. So obviously, there are some things that I'm still new to, and this was where I left off after completing it, if you see the previous stream video before this review. Let's crack on.
男の子、
男の子
男の子と
と
女の子、
女の子
女の子、な、
な So you can see how it can be a jump. So we're now learning that this is to and this is na. So we can see that the C with the stick hat is to for male or boy. And we can see that na is squirrely with the circlet. So I'm looking at this part here, the down stripe bit, to show that that's na with the hat.
男の子と女の子、な、と
To. Symbol clicking.
な、
Na,
な、な、
na, na, to.
な、と
And then to. Yeah? So you can see, as we do this, that in this example, this will be a little bit harder to learn at home. This is one that you want to have either a flashcard, write it down, flip it over, so when you flip it back, you can see what it is. And then you can start to select in flashcards where, or be able to see where these sounds present as kanji symbols in specific words.
と
So here we go.
水を飲んでいます。
Mizu o nonde imasu. Then you can see
水を飲んで
on the
いま
output
す。の、
no
の、
and how it outputs.
本を読んでいます。
Hon o yonde imasu.
本を読んでいます。ん、
Mm.
ん、
Definitely a cool slide because you can see how it outputs now in a sentence the Japanese from what we've been reading in English, which again, I'm getting the visualization in my head of it outputting the English of this rather than being able to do it in the Japanese symbols. But again, that's only because I've only just started doing this reading exercise and learning these symbols, which when I've done a whole unit, that whole bar up until the next diamond in the program on the home menu, I will revisit this entire module as a review again, but I will probably do it in pure Japanese so I can get used to seeing this in symbols rather than in English word or English lettering. Okay, which I think again is another good way to consolidate being able to read and write in the language.
水を飲んでいますの本を読んでいますんの
No,
のん
mm,
んの
no,
のん
mm.
ん
See, so it's getting us to reference so that we know which one's which before it will get us to just casually say them as they are without any reference material.
と
Do,
な
na,
の
no,
ん
Okay, so now in these we can now see we've got ourselves a n, na, no, to, no, etc. So we can start to build up this picture of how the katakana hiragana actually makes up the word that we're trying to say in Japanese and how it's grouped for those sounds. Okay, here we go.
女の子
Onna no ko, not n or do, because we've already got them. So it's this one here, correct? There we go.
女の子男の子
Otoko no ko. So it's not going to be n, na, no, no, na, to.
男の子水を飲んでいます
Mizu o nondemasu. There we go.
水を飲んでいます本を読んでいます
Hon o yondemasu. There
本
we
を
go.
読んで
See,
い
so
ま
I'm
す
starting to digest now the very simple basics of this language because I can turn around and pick it out. It's quite quick in 3 or 4 days worth, a week's worth of study and practice in this program, and then reviewing and repeating back before moving on. You know,
男の子たち
otoko no kotachi,
男の子たち子
ko,
子女の子たち
onna no kotachi,
女の子たちお
o.
お
Okay, so we've got 2 new symbols here. So we've learned ko and o.
男の子たち子女の子たちおお
O,
おこ
ko,
こお
o,
おこ
go.
こ
Nice. This is where it will start to get difficult.
お
O. This is one we've just done.
の
No. Which is this one? No, it's
No.
not. It's this one. I
と
know I'd do that. To.
な
Na is this one.
こ、
Every time. Cool. There you go. Got one wrong. Not good. Made one mistake. Could have ruined my slide. It has ruined my slide. So now we go back. That's the whole point.
と、
To,
お、
or,
こ、
ko,
の、
no,
ん、
Oh, which one have I done?
な、
There we go. My brain just had a fried moment there. There we go.
女の子たち、
Onna no kotachi.
女の子たち、水を飲んでいます。
Mizu o nonde imasu. Mizu o nonde
水
imasu.
を飲んでいます。女の子、
Onna no ko.
女の子、男の子、
To kono ko.
男の子、本を読んでいます。
Hon no yonde imasu. There we go.
本を読んでいます。男の子たち、
Otoko na. Otoko no. Oh. Otoko no kotachi. There we go.
男の子たち、
See, it takes a little bit to get used to that when you do, there's two mistakes not happening. Then you've got to redo them, yeah? So let's redo them. Make sure we get it
女
right.
の子たち、
Onna no kotachi. Onna
女の子
kotachi.
たち、水を飲んでいます。水を飲んでいます。女の子、
Onna no ko.
女の子、男の子、
Toko no ko.
男の子、本を読んでいます。本を読んでいます。男の子たち、
Otoko no kotachi.
男の
There
子
we
た
go.
ち、
Just double checking to make sure. It does sink in. It will be there. And it's the same with these. Here we go.
男の子、
O to ko no ko. See?
男の子、
This one I
女
like.
の子、
O na on na no ko. There we go.
女の子、
Onna no ko. Oh no. Stop. Redo the lesson on this one because this is the one we got wrong. We're getting it right.
男の子、
So, o to ko no ko.
男の子、女の子、
O na. Start again.
男の子、
O to ko no ko.
男の子、女の子、
O onna no ko. There we go.
女の子、
Again, takes a little while. This is the one that I want to do more of more often. So I think I might redo this one because again, this is getting to the end of and now has achieved the reading is now here. And that's the review of the core lesson, the pronunciation, the vocabulary, the grammar, and the reading lessons that I've done and gone through this week, that I've live streamed each day, apart from yesterday, Thursday, and then obviously consolidated into the 2 hours and 15-20 minutes or so of this video, this stream. So this stream will go up. It will be on my Twitch page for the next 7 days. I will migrate it and export it to YouTube, so it will be permanently on YouTube. It will also go into the playlist of the Japanese language self-taught stuff. So if you want to do each lesson, you can see as I've done them on the day, where I made the mistakes and where I had to repeat, and where I haven't moved on until I've felt comfortable to move on. And then if you want to go through the review is this video, which is the longer format video. It's the whole 2 and a bit hours of all these modules. And this is what I'm going to be doing each week through each section, for each unit, for each of these. So where I've said, like next week, I will do the writing, and these ones, we'll go through these next week. Okay. And then when I get to here, this review, we'll finish, I'll do this one. And then after the review is when I will then review this section here, from writing to review. And after I've done that, that's when I'm going to go back and redo all of these, but with just the Japanese hiragana katakana on, so that from here, this last few sections in the reading, hopefully with the writing and this, what's going to go on here, is going to help consolidate learning the Japanese symbols, the hiragana, the katakana, and the kanji, to be able to do these in that lesson. All right. So I'm hoping, that's my plan. I'm hoping that it will work out. If it doesn't, I might not do it that way. I might just work through how we've done it so far. Just so that you can see, again, the casual approach, but with the defined end goal of me working through this material as intended until I'm perfecting each of these modules at a comfortable enough pace that it's disseminating into my brain. I'm leaving it till the next day to forget, so that when I come back into the lesson, I can then be retaught and remember through the practice, which is the process that is necessary for any person to have that kind of memory recall of the thing that you've learned. That's how we psychologically learn things. It's through forgetting and then remembering, forgetting and then remembering, forgetting and remembering. And by doing that a bunch of times, the practice, that's what solidifies that next function that we've then turned around and learned as a skill, which is what I'm hoping and what I'm showing this program seems to be able to do. And from what I've been doing this past week, that hopefully you've been following along and can now see, it seems to work. It might not work for everyone, but hopefully those that it doesn't work for will be able to understand where this program is coming from, where I'm coming from, and hopefully now there is a resource here for you to keep coming back to be able to reference and learn along with, at your own pace and your own comfortability. So you don't need to go out there and spend loads of money on programs. You don't need to hunt for an older program like this. You haven't got to go around and put up a subscription fee or anything like that, or go through the arduous task of getting some resources that are designed to teach you, but don't necessarily teach in any kind of format or manner that might work for you, which then leaves yourself having to develop a strategy or a curriculum in how to approach teaching yourself with those materials, which can usually be the hardest bit. Not everyone is designed to be able to teach themselves things, and not everyone is able to come up with strategies and implementations of resources and stuff to teach themselves certain things. Some people just want, the convenience of being able to learn something where it's just handed on a plate. There are some things that you can't just be handed on a plate with to, or at least that method of being handed something to you will only work if you naturally take information in that way and can learn from it in that manner. Not everyone has those kinds of tools, whether it might be a different learning method, whether you're, visual, whether you're kinesthetic, etc. Whether you might have challenges, learning difficulties, whether you might be like myself, neurodivergent, which poses its own issues and challenges in being able to have an influx of information, whether you've got sensory issues, etc., etc. The list is endless because each one of us is individual. So all I'm doing is showcasing what I'm doing in this program, my current method and strategy to reach my end goal, which, they're all very simple. And I'm taking these in very small, casual, simple steps and chunks. But I want to showcase my progress so that you guys can see what I do and what I am doing in this program that is designed to teach a language in a way that is replicable and, gives you a little bit of skill in that language, being able to talk it and speak it to a level, to understand it enough to be able to do so, and to be able to write it to some level. So you can at least have those three components of being able to listen to it, speak it, read and write it, So again, showcasing this, videoing, slight narration and commentary going through on each of the slides, each of the modules and lessons I do. I am hoping that people see this, and those that do, I'm hoping that you end up taking away something from this and being able to learn along with me. Even if it's at my pace, you've now got a permanent resource that you can come to and do in your own pace. So if you want the slide to be sped up, you can now scan through in the video once it's come off Twitch and goes up onto YouTube, where you can do this now at your own pace and not have to search too hard or long for the right kind of materials or the right kind of lessons presented to you in the right kind of way. Or at least that's my hope. But yeah, as I said, this is just me showcasing myself, learning the language, and maybe you guys can learn along too. If not, you can just do what I do on my gaming stream, just come, point, laugh, and say, huh, this guy's an idiot, and see me fail, or succeed, depending on which side of the fence you want to sit on. But while I have you here, I would like to say, please like, follow, comment, share, subscribe to both my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/crunk7up, my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@exofficina, EXOFFICINA, and check me out on Discord. The links are on both pages to each other. So I'd really appreciate people coming in, liking, sharing, subscribing, and following me on both channels so that you can see me do this live. And if not, you then get to see the videos at any stage, whether it's watch later, whether it's saved to your own playlist, whether it's directly after the live streams for self-taught Japanese lessons in Rosetta Stone 3, or for any of my gaming content that may or may not take your fancy. I am aware that it's not amazingly diverse at the moment. I'm trying to work up to getting a capture card for my PlayStation 4 and my Switch, so I can start showcasing some of the gameplay on there with friends. Also, if you join the Discord and you come and like and share and subscribe to the channel, you can chat to me as we are live. I can turn around and quite easily chat to the audience direct, as I am doing just now. For those that have made it to the video this far, and yeah, just trying to build a nice, friendly, social community. I'm not the most sociable person because of my disorders and my neurodivergencies and stuff, but I feel quite comfortable being able to do this. So if you are out there and you want to make some friends and you enjoy what I'm putting up, or even if you don't and you just want to be a troll and come and, like I said, point and laugh at the English white ginger boy who's who's got issues when doing this or my gaming stuff, come point, laugh, come join in. It's a bit of a giggle. I'm hoping to have a little bit of something for everyone. I also do music as well, as you can probably see over my shoulder. I've got a load of guitars. I play, quite a fair bit with my equipment. Got some videos up on YouTube where I also cover tracks, which I'm going to keep producing throughout this year. And if not, I'm advocating for mental health awareness due to my daughter's autism, and for the work that I'm currently working and training towards being able to do um, with neurodivergent people, those with challenges, disorders, mental health disabilities, as a music therapist. So any questions you might have, any advice you might want, any point of reference to any resources and such, feel free to ask. I'm only ever a message away. That's what my Discord is for. So if you do come and check out this page, you like, follow, comment, share, subscribe, please join the Discord server. I can be got at through these channels and my Discord for anything and everything. That's it for now. That's this review of the self-taught Japanese in Rosetta Stone with me, Spike. I hope to see you in the next one. We'll see what happens after this weekend. I shall return on Monday for the lessons, but catch me later on through this weekend for any gaming content, live stream, or the YouTube videos that go up. As always, as I keep mentioning, if you like what you see or you don't like what you see and you want to turn around and have some fun with me, whatever, like, follow, comment, share, subscribe to me on Twitch and on YouTube, and I'll see you in the next one. As always, take care of each other, love each other, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Peace.